This is a probable cause hearing in Kansas where a man was in front of the courthouse. We don't quite know the details, but he got a little upset, so he got a little arrested. And when he was in the booking process, he got a little more upset and might have hit a deputy or something like that. There's a video. The video's evidence. You could decide for yourself what he did.
Good morning. This is State of Kansas versus Robert Walker Jr. Case number 23 CR 30 and 33. The council state their appearances, please.
May it please the court, the state appears by Jill Gillette, County Attorney.
Your Honor, this is Gary House, attorney for the defendant Robert Walker. I appear by Zoom from my office, and Mr. Walker is with me here at my office.
All right. Council, I have this scheduled as a preliminary hearing. Are the parties ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor.
Defendant's ready, Your Honor.
All right. I want to clarify which complaint information we're going off of. I'm looking at an amended complaint information, but that case number is 23 CR 29. There's one felony, which is count 4, aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer. Is that the complaint we're going off of, or is this a different matter?
Judge, the aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer is the only felony. It's on amended complaint filed August 15th of 2023.
Right. I have this down. The file stamp says 23 CR 29. However, my calendar reflects 30/33. So that may not be accurate, but I just want to be sure that we're working off the same document here. 23 CR 29.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
And I agree with that, Judge. I think all the pleadings that I've received in the case have that case number on it.
Right. Before the first witness, is there any preliminary matters that we need to address?
I don't believe so. I have 2 witnesses here, so I didn't know if Mr. House was going to sequester them or not.
Mr. House?
Well, I think it'd be a good idea to sequester them, yes.
Very well. I will grant the defense request for sequestration. Ms. Gillette, who will your first witness be?
Mr. Watts, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Bliss, if you could go back to the waiting room, don't discuss your testimony with anybody until you're called as a witness here, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And Mr. Walker, if you'd raise your right hand, please.
Mr. Watts.
Excuse me, Mr. Watts, excuse me. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You're under oath. Counsel, you may proceed.
Would you please state your name for the record?
Eric Watts.
And were you involved with the defendant in this matter in an incident?
Yes.
And what date did that incident occur?
Oh, I don't have the date off the top of my head. It was September, I believe.
Now, when you had the incident where he was arrested, where did the incident occur when you started having interactions with him?
I had interactions with him in the booking room at the Elk County jail court, or at the Elk County Sheriff's Office.
And had there already been interactions with him with another deputy?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you arrive to help with the situation?
Yes, I was called into for support for the deputy that was already dealing with Mr. Walker.
And had there already been any struggles by the time you arrived?
That I can't testify to that. I didn't see any struggle with Deputy Bliss prior to me arriving. I arrived at the jail when I first came in contact with Walker.
Okay. And during your interactions with him, did he end up, having, physical contact with Deputy Bliss?
I didn't see it with my eyes, but I do know because as I entered her room, Deputy Bliss had told me that she had had physical contact with Walker.
Okay. And then while you were in the room, at some point, did he end up having physical contact with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And tell us about what happened on that day.
As I entered the room, into the booking room, there was only one way in, which is the door. Deputy Bliss was already standing in the room. She introduced me as to who I was coming into the room. I'd like to just rewind a little bit. As I entered the sheriff's office, I could hear a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling, a lot of belligerent talk, a lot of things, which made me move with a little bit of haste. So when I entered the room again, she introduced me. Immediately, Walker became just very verbally abusive to Deputy Bliss, verbally abusive to me. And so that's when I had contact with Walker.
Okay.
So,
And did he get up out of the chair towards you?
absolutely. I told him that he needed to settle down. He immediately, in an aggressive manner, got up out of the chair. What I felt like was going to approach me and Deputy Bliss. And at that point, I went hands on.
And, now did items in the room get broken before this incident or during it?
It would be during it because I can't testify that there was any broken items in that booking room when we started the incident.
Okay. And what was broken while the incident happened?
I believe it was a chair. And that the booking table got moved also across the room. So I believe it was a chair that got broken. I can't recall at this point.
I'm going to show you a photo that Under Sheriff Franks took. Is this the chair?
Yes, ma'am. That would be the chair.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you end up having injuries?
I did. After the incident, although not right away within the first 24, 48 hours, but after the incident, I started having extreme back pain, was unable to work, and I started seeking medical attention.
And to your knowledge, was Deputy Bliss also injured in the incident?
Yes, ma'am. She sure was.
Okay. Did she go to the ER that day?
I believe so. Yes.
All right. And did you go to the ER that day or another day due to this incident?
I actually went to my medical doctor after the incident. I never went to the ER. Deputy Bliss went to the ER that day.
Okay. And was there injuries to your hand as well?
Yeah, I got scraped along the wall. Some injuries to my knuckle or something as we went across the wall into where I was trying to get him in a chair.
Is this the injury to your hand?
Yes, ma'am, that would be yes.
And is this your arm as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is pictures prepared by Deputy Bliss.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely accurate.
Okay. And did you have medical studies of the injury to your back?
I did. Throughout my time with the doctor, helping them out with getting me fixed up, was sent to the hospital in Winfield and had an MRI done on my back.
And what was the results of the MRI?
I had a complete disassociation between the disc in my L3 and L4 and agitation to the discs, nerve pain where it went over my right hip. And I was down for quite a while, still down.
And are you awaiting surgery for that injury?
I'm in California time. I have an appointment the 22nd, which they're going to refer me to a orthopedic and neurosurgeon.
And are you requiring surgery to repair the damage from this incident?
Yes.
Did you help download the video from the security cameras at the sheriff's office?
I didn't know.
Okay. And, I will pass this witness to the defense, Your Honor.
Mr. House?
Mr. Watts, I'm still going to refer to you as deputy since you were deputy at the time.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
When did you first go to work at the Elk County Sheriff's Office?
November 22.
November the 22nd on 2022?
No, November, I believe my first day at the sheriff's office was November 10th of 2022.
Okay. All right. And this incident, I thought you said happened in September, as you recall. Is that right?
Yeah, 23. Like a few months ago.
Did it happen this year or last year? Did it happen in 2022 or 2023?
23, sir.
Okay. And do you recall writing a day after the incident a narrative affidavit which was filed with the court on what happened?
Yes.
And there's mention that Deputy Bliss noticed your arm was bleeding, and she pointed that out to you, and maybe you even noticed it after the defendant was settled in a chair.
Yes, that incident right then, there was blood to my my arm. I had to clean the blood off the wall that day as well. I believe it was June, not September. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay. And so you cleaned it, or did you scrape it on the wall? Is that what happened?
Yeah, the blood dripped down the wall.
Okay.
From my
Did
arm.
you have a long sleeve shirt on at that time, a short sleeve shirt?
Be a short sleeve shirt, sir.
Okay. Summer uniform, right?
Yes, sir. I was actually on a day off, so I
Okay.
wasn't in full uniform, but I was in a short sleeve shirt underneath my vest.
Okay. So your report on the 28th, which is the day after, mentioned the scrape to the arm, but didn't say anything about your back. Were you sore that day?
I didn't hear you say that again, sir.
Your report mentions the scrape on your arm and the bleeding on the arm, but there's nothing said about your back. And that's the day after this incident.
Yeah, my back didn't start really bothering me until about 48 hours later, maybe 72, where I started to kind of stiffen up and not be able to function very good.
Did you have any prior back injuries? Have you had trouble with your back previously?
Yes, previously.
And when did that begin?
About 2020, I'd say. Maybe end of 2019.
And what occurred then to injure your back?
Just on the job, wearing the vest for as long as I'd had been, and that kind of thing, and working as a first responder for all the years that I've been in service.
And you started consulting a doctor at that time?
Yes.
Where were you living at that time?
Nevada.
Okay. And did you have any operations or anything of this nature?
No, sir.
So did you continue to have back problems from time to time between?
From time to time, yes.
At some point after this injury, you say you saw a doctor?
After my injury with the incident with Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Yes, I went to the Moline Health Clinic.
You remember how many days after the incident that took place?
Probably about 20, 25 days later.
Have you made any workman's compensation claim for this injury?
I did make a workman's comp claim. I missed the window.
Now you say you missed the window. What do you mean by that?
I waited too long to make the claim according to county policy.
What were you told?
That I was over the 20 days deadline or something like that.
Was there a written report or decision on that?
That was all verbal over the phone. I don't know if the county got a report on that or not.
So workman's compensation was denied.
Yeah, due to the timeline.
And you say you saw your doctor in Moline 20 to 25 days after this incident.
20 to 25 days, yeah.
And then you went to at some point to Winfield for an MRI.
Yep, they sent me to Winfield for an MRI on my back.
What doctor did you see in Moline?
What is her name? The physician's assistant.
Okay.
No, excuse me, I don't go to the doctor very much. I kind of just wing it myself. The physician's assistant in Moline.
Okay. Were you still seeing the doctor occasionally between 2019 or 2020 when this first happened to the date of this incident in 2023?
Yes, I had seen a neurosurgeon in Reno in 2022.
What did that neurosurgeon tell you?
They gave me shots in my back to it's kind of called they're called faucet injections for pain control.
Okay, and when did you move to Kansas?
Be November. I came there end of October of 2022.
So you pretty much came to Kansas, was it to work at the Elk County Sheriff's Office?
I came to Kansas to work as an emergency manager.
Okay. So you've been in this type work either as a law enforcement officer or first responder for a long time.
Well over 20 years, sir.
All right. I've got no further questions of Deputy Watts, Your Honor.
Mr. Gillette?
Deputy, are you still under the treatment and care of the physicians?
Yes, I have an appointment the 22nd to continue with issues on my back that I'm currently still dealing with.
And were these issues new issues from what you had before?
I was not having any problems before the incident with Walker.
And after the incident with Walker, then you started having all these new issues?
Yeah, where it was just unbearable pain and stuff. Just I wasn't able to even work.
Okay. And I think that's all the further questions I have, Your Honor.
Mr. House?
Yes, redirect, Deputy Watts, did you have any pain in your back during your struggles with, the defendant in this case?
Prior to or during?
Well, prior to, did you have any prior to?
No, sir. Prior to, I was good to go. Hadn't any
Did you
problems
have
at
it?
all.
Did you have any during the incident?
During the incident, as we were going across the wall, I did feel a pop in my back. Yes, sir.
You don't say anything about that in your report the next day, though, do you?
I would say I didn't, sir.
You're featured on the scrape on your arm that was bleeding.
Yes.
Okay. No further questions.
All right, I need to get some clarification on some of the answers. Mr. Watts, some of these expressions you used, I'm going to ask you to be more specific as to what occurred. You said there was physical contact once you came in. There was physical contact. You used that phrase in regards to the other deputy. You also used expressions as you went hands-on. Could you describe what it was that actually was happening without utilizing terms that summarize situation?
Yes, Your Honor. When I came into the room, what I mean by physical contact is when he stood up and aggressively approached Mr. Walker.
Okay.
When Mr. Walker stood up and in an aggressive manner, and I felt as if he's approaching me he made a step towards Deputy Bliss and myself. That's when I went hands-on, meaning I went and I physically made contact with him, grabbed his shirt. We went across the wall to sit him down into a chair and control the room and control the incident.
Right. Was he cuffed
He was in handcuffs, yes, sir.
in front of his body or behind?
Behind his body, sir.
Did he initiate any contact with you?
He made an aggressive stance towards me.
Okay, tell me what that means, please.
When he stood up out of his chair, he made advancements towards me, Your Honor, or towards myself and Deputy Bliss by taking an aggressive step towards us.
All right. Can you describe what an aggressive step is as it happened in this situation?
He stood up out of the chair while cussing, taunting deputies. I mean, yelling at us, not taunting, but yelling at us. And he stepped towards us, taking a step. I don't believe if it was a right foot or left foot, but he took a step towards us within a close proximity of maybe 4 feet. And that's when I approached him and went hands-on by grabbing his shirt and his body and trying to get him into a chair.
You say trying. Was there any resisting of some sort?
He was resisting, Your Honor. Yes, sir.
How so?
By tensing up his body, tensing up his frame, pushing back towards me.
Counsel, any additional redirect or recross based upon my questioning?
Deputy, were you called in because Mr. Walker had been out of control multiple times throughout the interactions?
Yes, I was called in as backup for Deputy Bliss as she made first contact with him in front of the courthouse.
And you were aware he'd already been being aggressive?
Yes, dispatch had told me over the phone, yes.
No further questions from this witness.
Mr. House?
Yes, Your Honor. Deputy, the defendant, Mr. Walker, is in handcuffs, and the handcuffs are behind him, right?
Yes, sir.
And he took a step toward you all. He stood up.
Yeah, one fluid motion.
You went hands on. Did that amount to a chokehold on him?
Absolutely not.
Did you have your arms in his neck?
I had my arms to the side of his neck, about shoulder area. My other hand was about his chest right here.
The reports, I think mentioned in your statement and certainly in other reports indicate that photographs were taken of his neck.
Hmm.
Is that right?
I believe so, yes.
And he had been handcuffed and he was cuffed with his hands behind him.
Yes, sir.
Didn't at some point after the incident you mentioned to him, it looks like I owe you a shirt?
Yes, I ripped his shirt during the incident.
Okay. No further questions, Judge.
Very well, thank you. Does council wish for Deputy Watts to remain, or can he be released?
If he would just remain on mute, just in case we need any.
All right, I'm going to ask that he be placed in the waiting room then in case that he's recalled, as he's still potentially a witness. So Deputy or Mr. Watts, if you could bear with us until the hearing's over, we'll make sure you're made aware of when that occurs, okay?
Yes, sir.
And next witness, please.
We'll call Deputy Bliss.
Deputy, if you'd raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you. You're under oath. Counsel, you may proceed.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Amy Bliss.
And how are you employed?
I'm a federal police officer at the Wichita VA.
Were you previously a deputy with the Elk County Sheriff's Office?
I was.
And when you were with the Elk County Sheriff's Office, what date were you dispatched to deal with Mr. Walker?
If you don't mind if I look at my notes, on June 27th.
Okay. Was that in 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
And where was he located at when you were dispatched to deal with him?
At the north entrance of the courthouse.
And what was the issue with Mr. Walker as to why you were dispatched there?
The dispatch on duty at the time called and then dispatched me because he had been yelling at her.
And was he yelling loudly?
Yes, ma'am.
And were there profanities?
Yes, ma'am.
When you arrived, did he continue the same behavior towards you?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you describe for us what his behavior was like when you were trying to deal with him?
Not compliant, argumentative, loud.
Okay.
Vulgar language.
Okay. And what kind of names was he calling dispatch and yourself?
If I may use the language, if that's okay, he told me to F off without, he actually used the word, told me to get back in my car. At one point he had called me names.
Okay. And what kind of names was he calling you?
He called me a fat cow.
No.
That's
Mr. Walker, you need to be quiet. The witness is on the stand testifying. Please proceed.
Was he yelling like this towards the dispatcher as well?
I did not hear the dispatch. I just have the statement that she had written and then communicated with her that it was just language and it upset her.
Okay. And was he wanting to go into the courthouse?
He was trying to gain access into the courthouse. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And, now when you, ended up going over to interact with him, did you end up taking him into custody?
Yes, ma'am. I did eventually.
And when you were taking him into custody, did you have issues getting him into custody?
Not. He was not compliant. I had to tell him several times to turn around and place his hands behind his back because he was under arrest.
Did you eventually get him over to the sheriff's office?
Yes, ma'am. I did.
And after you were at the sheriff's office with him in the booking room, did it become physical?
It actually started physical before we got into the booking room, ma'am.
Okay, when did it first become physical, your interactions with him?
When we're almost into the booking room right there in the foyer, he used his elbow and elbowed me. I told him not to elbow me.
Okay. And did you ask for backup to come to the sheriff's office because he was out of control?
Yes, ma'am. I actually asked for backup before I even was able to get him into custody while we were still standing out in front of the courthouse.
Okay. Now, once he was into custody and over at the sheriff's office, was he still acting the same way towards you?
Yes, ma'am.
And at some point, did a struggle and occur with him?
Yes, ma'am. As we were walking into the booking room through the doorway.
Okay. Now, when that struggle occurred, were you injured?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Did you end up seeking medical attention at the ER?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Did you end up being put on leave as well for your injury?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you help download the security video and submit it to the state as part of your investigation in this matter?
Yes, ma'am. I downloaded my body cam and submitted it.
And was there also booking room camera?
Yes, ma'am. Sheriff Walker, I believe, downloaded that for us.
And is it a true and accurate depiction of what occurred on June 27th of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I have admitted my laptop is the second county attorney on the screen, and I would like to play the video for you and admit it as states.
Mr. House?
No objection.
Very well, you may, stage one is admitted and you may publish the video.
I gotta mute this screen, Judge. Deputy, was it before or after this that he had the struggle with you at the door?
Do what, ma'am? I can't hear you hardly.
Was it before or after this that you had the struggle with him?
It was before. This is when Deputy Watts come in. There's another video clip where you can actually see the lights come on as we walk in the video or walk in the doorway, excuse me. It might be a different camera angle as well. It might be a different video clip. That's after. That's when Deputy Watts is.
Well, I would like if we can do it, I would like to have the exhibit played. If there's sound, have sound with it and let it run continuously as the entire exhibit. We've been kind of going back and forth trying to, I think, to improve the situation, but
And I think it runs about 10 seconds maybe when it's dark. I don't remember how many seconds, but it takes a minute to get when the light comes on.
Oh, yeah, there's your fucking go-to, is that what you're arresting? Police brutality and shit, whatever the fuck disorderly, and whatever else you can fucking think of.
They're right there. I'm just saying. Sir? Hey! Sir!
You
Sit down!
don't push me,
You don't freaking kick my chair!
I kicked that fucking chair, I paid for that fucking chair with my taxes, you dumb bitch, you don't own shit.
Sit down!
You fuck off.
Who?
See that?
Yeah, you pushed the chair.
You pushed me into the chair, you stupid lying bitch.
Three here.
You work for the county, you dumb bitch. You ain't fucking the law. You ain't. Yeah, snicker about it. You're law enforcement. What law was broken?
Would you write me a statement?
What law was broken?
Disorderly conduct, sir. I've already.
You are not the fucking complainant. You can't be the complainant.
Arrested you.
You are law enforcement, not the complainant. You are not the victim.
And I'm enforcing the law.
You're not the victim.
No, she is. So is society.
Oh, well, she is. What did I do to her?
Disorderly conduct.
What was in public?
Disorderly conduct.
Oh, was it? I would like to see the recording of my disorderly conduct. Hello?
See what?
Where's the recording of my disorderly conduct?
I don't know at this point. I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't
Is
know.
this her word against mine and I'm being arrested for it?
Yeah.
You're a stupid bitch.
Thank you.
I'm gonna love this.
Yeah. Hey, I'd like to meet
Leave it.
Deputy Watts.
Leave it.
He's being arrested for disorderly conduct.
You can fuck off.
Hey.
And you can fuck off too. What are you gonna fucking do?
Sit your fucking chair. I am not the fucking
Really?
one.
Down your ass. I hope that's all recorded too, you stupid son of a bitch.
Sit down.
Sit.
Sit down.
Down.
Sit down. Sit down.
Sit down.
And
Get one here now.
get one. And out. Sit down.
I hope
Do what
this
you're
all
supposed
be
to.
recorded.
It is.
Oh,
Sit
it's
down.
totally on
Getting a
recording.
lawsuit, motherfucker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Can I attach myself to your pension? Yes,
Sit
sir.
down.
You lose your police
Sit
brutality?
Sit down.
Yeah.
Sit down and stay sitting down.
Nope, this motherfucker right here just laid my ass for no
Sit
fucking
down.
reason. Just because I stood up!
Sit down.
Just because I stood up, you fucking little pussy. Yeah,
Yeah, this is what I.
yeah.
this is what I-
I'm in handcuffs and you got a fucking badge, you little prick.
Judge, do you need to see more?
Is that where you're wishing to complete it?
Yeah.
All right. For the record, the video that was shown started at 12:31:39 seconds. It completed, or what was shown was at 12:34:44 seconds. And that's stage one, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Very well. You may proceed with question your witness.
And Deputy Bliss, how long were you off of work after your elbow was injured?
I was, I believe, approximately 10 days on restricted no work and then started physical therapy.
Okay. And during the first interaction with the defendant, is that when your elbow popped?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I object to the questions concerning the elbow pop or whatever. We're dealing with the charge of aggravated battery here in the preliminary hearing against Mr. Watts.
I'm going to allow the question. It is an attempt to describe the incident itself.
Okay.
You may proceed.
And in these interactions, did you feel that the defendant, how did you feel that the defendant's behavior was towards you?
Aggressive, non-compliant.
Okay. Judge, I believe I'll pass this witness to the defense.
Mr. House?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Deputy, I'll continue to refer to you as Deputy Bliss, if that's all right.
That's fine.
All right. Deputy, did at some point after you came to the courthouse, who all was there?
When I was at the courthouse, it was just myself and Mr. Walker.
Was his wife there?
No, I believe she was inside here, sir.
She had already gone inside?
I believe so.
Well, she was admitted, but Mr. Walker wasn't. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, yes, that's correct. Yeah, he
All
was
right.
not admitted.
And so it's you and him. At some point, you put him in handcuffs. When did that happen?
Approximately, it was several minutes into the conversation, sir.
Did you tell him you wanted to put handcuffs on him?
Several times.
And eventually, you handcuffed him with the handcuffs behind his back. Is that right?
Yes, double handcuffs. I used two sets of handcuffs.
Okay. And so he obviously was cooperating at that point, wasn't he?
He was still argumentative while I was trying to read him his Miranda rights. Tell him his Miranda.
He was argumentative probably throughout the process, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
And you were having discussions with him, but you were able to handcuff him with the cuffs behind his back, double handcuff.
Yes, eventually, sir.
And then did you put him into the car and drive him around to the front of the sheriff's office?
I did, sir.
Which is customary, isn't it? When you handcuff somebody and get them in the car, you go around to the front of the sheriff's office.
Yes, we take them into the front of the office.
Okay. And you did that. Were you able to get him out of the car? Did he resist you when you got him
No,
out of the car?
he got out willingly out of the car, sir.
Okay. And did he willingly walk into the booking room?
Yes.
And at some point, you thought you needed additional officer help. What was the reason for that?
I actually called for backup before he was even placed in cuffs. I called for backup while we were having a conversation.
In front of the courthouse?
Yes, sir.
All right. And Deputy Watt was the one who came as backup.
Yes, he's the one that responded. Yes, sir.
All right. At some point, you noticed, was there a struggle then between Deputy Watt and Mr. Walker?
Yes, sir.
Is that when Deputy Watt, I think the video shows he came in the room, pointed at him, and then he advanced towards the defendant. Is that correct view of what happened on the video?
He walked in the room and I was explaining to him what charges. And then Mr. Walker used vulgar language to me, and Eric Watts seemingly looks like he was gonna tell him to calm down, or I don't know what was going on. I can't testify to that. And that's when Mr. Walker stood up towards him. Yep.
He stood up and then deputy advanced towards him, didn't he?
After after Mr. Walker stood up, asked him what he was gonna do about it, I believe the video said.
Did he put his hands or his thumbs into the neck of Mr. Walker?
I can't testify to that. I don't know. I couldn't see from my angle.
Okay. Did he have any kind of hold on his neck? Or?
I don't believe so, but again, I can't see from my angle.
Judge, I believe the video speaks for
Pictures were taken after
The objection's overruled.
of Mr. Walker's neck to show the redness on it. Is that right?
No, I believe so. Yes.
You what?
I believe so. I'd have to look at see the pictures.
Okay.
I don't know.
Now, all this time, Mr. Walker is double handcuffed behind his back.
Yep. Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Did Deputy Watt ever indicate to you at that time that he hurt his back?
And not at that time. But I didn't indicate my elbow was hurt either.
And
no, it was swollen.
Did he indicate that his back had popped? Did he ever tell that?
I don't recall.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you, Deputy Bliss.
You're welcome, sir.
Redirect, Ms. Gillette?
No, Your Honor, I think the video speaks for itself.
All right, as there's no redirect, there won't be recross. May this witness be excused, or you need to keep her?
I would keep her just in case we need any rebuttal witness testimony, Judge.
Very well. I'd ask that the witness go back to the waiting room, not to discuss her testimony with anyone else until this hearing is completed. Does the state have any additional witnesses to call?
I do not, Your Honor. State will rest.
Very well. Mr. House, do you have any witnesses you wish to call?
No, Your Honor. Defendant will not present any evidence.
Very well. That concludes the evidentiary portion of this hearing. I will listen to statements of or closing statements at this time, beginning with the state.
Judge, the defendant was being aggressive. He was aggressive towards Deputy Bliss. He needed to cooperate or sit still. He was resistant from the beginning, ended up injuring Deputy Watts to the point that he is now awaiting surgery. We have additional medical records that'll be coming that were not received yet. But the defendant has harmed the deputies in being aggressive in the manner, standing up and refusing to cooperate the way that he should, and therefore he has caused the injuries to the deputies. And Deputies Watts's injuries are of a nature that is requiring surgery, which would be a way that can cause personal injury that would be severe enough to require medical intervention.
Thank you. Mr. House?
Your Honor, we're all aware of the burden of proof at a preliminary hearing. It's probable cause, or more likely than not. I would point out to the court that this was an incident that happened on June 27, 2023 of this year, and a complaint was filed on June the 30th, 3 days later, in which count 4 was a battery on a law enforcement officer, in this case, Deputy Eric Watts. That was the charge at that time. I'll point out that the officer's affidavit, which the court has in the file, written a day later, makes no mention of any back injury. There is a description of the scratch on the arm, which resulted in Deputy Watts bleeding. And he said he scraped it on the wall. Deputy then didn't see his doctor for 20 to 25 days thereafter. He has reported that he had previous back problems in 2019, 2020. And then he indicated that his workman's compensation claim was denied that he made. He said because he didn't file within 20 days. Subsequently, just recently, the state has decided, when the case wasn't working out, to amend the complaint to an aggravated battery. And I just don't think that, even looking at the probable cause standard of proof in a preliminary hearing, that the state's proven more likely than not that there was an injury to Deputy Watts' back because of what happened in this case. We saw Deputy Watts advance on defendant as opposed to defendant advancing on him in the video. Now, I'm not condoning the language that my client was using towards Deputy Bliss or maybe Deputy Watts, but that's the situation here today. So that's for the court to decide as to whether there's probable cause or not. Obviously, the misdemeanor charges still are on file, except for the amended Class A misdemeanor, which was modified to a aggravated battery of a law enforcement officer. So my argument is that there's not probable cause to bind him over on a felony charge. And that's all I have, Judge.
Thank you. Counsel, I'm going to review 215413 a little bit. I'm not going to go into recess. I'm just going to go dark on the screen. We'll stay on the record. It won't take long. But I do want to make sure I've got the statute citing the correct statutory authority. So I'll be back very shortly. All right, we're back on the record now. Ms. Gillette, okay. Let the record reflect that all the parties, as stated before, are present. The defendant is charged with aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer, more specifically KSA 21-5413, and then there's other subsections that deal with this. Several years ago, the statutes were modified to add numerous different levels based upon a status of a victim. If they're law enforcement or mental health officer, attorney, judge, so forth. And there are various levels of battery and aggravated battery. And I'm trying to sort through it here. What I observed in the evidence, well, first of all, as he is charged, the defendant is charged with subsection D, small d, 2, large A. That provides aggravated battery against a law enforcement officer is, and then the subsection 2, an aggravated battery as defined in subsection B1 large B or B1 large C, committed against a uniformed or properly identified state or city law enforcement officer while the officer is engaged in the performance of the officer's duties. What I observed on the video and again with testimony, the testimony was the defendant had been arrested. He was taken to the Elk County Sheriff's Office where backup arrived, that being the Deputy Watts. The video showed the defendant seated in a chair, handcuffed behind his back. When before Officer Watts arrived, the defendant was angry, verbally abusive to Deputy Bliss, and that continued. Once Deputy Watts arrived, it was a fairly short period of time, but there have been several moments of the defendant being angry and belligerent leading up to that. He appeared to be in that same state when Deputy Watts arrived. The defendant, while he was handcuffed, started to stand up out of the chair, and Deputy Watts closed the distance and put his hand on his neck area, shoulder area, trying to push him back into the chair. The defendant was actively resisting through that period of time, pushing back, obviously not in a very good position with the handcuffs behind his back. But as he is charged, would be knowing the aggravated battery occurred while knowingly causing physical contact with another person when done in a rude, insulting, or angry manner with a deadly weapon or in any manner whereby great bodily harm, disfigurement, or death can be inflicted. The defendant had no deadly weapon. The manner and where great bodily harm to be done, or disfigurement or death can be inflicted, I can't make that finding on even on probable cause when he is standing from a seated position with his handcuff behind his back. There wasn't a kick, there wasn't a blow initiated by the defendant. So I don't find as charged that's applicable. However, under subsection, again, 2154.13 or B, small b, aggravated battery, 2, large B, provides recklessly causing bodily harm to another person with a deadly weapon or in any manner whereby great bodily harm, disfigurement, or death can be inflicted. This is a probable cause determination, and great latitude has to be given into the interpretation, the evidence in regards to could a jury find, probable cause be more likely than not. I do find that Officer Watts was a uniformed and properly identified county law enforcement officer at the time, as was Deputy Bliss. The subsection that I do find that he was recklessly caused, there's probable cause that he recklessly caused great bodily harm in his actions, while the defendant's actions arguably required response. I don't think officers have to wait until they are head-butted or other contact is made, particularly when someone who is as angry and belligerent as the defendant was on the date in question, which I find to be June 27th of 2023. So basically, I find that, there's probable cause that it was recklessly caused. And my interpretation of that statute, if I read it correctly, that is under the penalty section would be G2, aggravated battery, large C, which is a severity level 5 person felony, as opposed to a severity level 4 person felony. So I do find that there is sufficient evidence for probable cause to find him over for arraignment on that subsection. So that would be a severity level 5 person felony as opposed to a severity level 4. Counsel, do you need me to repeat the subsections that I'm making that finding on?
2154(13)(b)(2)(b).
Correct. And it appears to me that is the penalty section is small g, 2, large C, or capital C. So that's my finding there. So that's the only felony that was requested in regards to the aggravated battery. The others counts he's charged with are misdemeanors. So with that change, I do bind the defendant over for arraignment. Sarah, could you give me an assignment for a district court judge, please?
That is going to be Judge Ricky, and his next available date would be December 18th.
At what time?
Arraignment would be at 1.
At 1 p.m. And that will be by Zoom?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Unless otherwise directed by Judge Ricky's office once they receive the case.
Right. Counsel, that's the only trial or arraignment date I have. If it conflicts with counsel's schedule, I would suggest that you contact Judge Ricky's AAA, but I do bind him over before Judge Ricky December the 18th at 1 p.m. That will be via Zoom. Mr. Walker, you can appear with Mr. House as you've done today, or you can appear at the sheriff's office. They have a setup for there. But I would like it to be one of those two. Under the circumstances, it would probably be preferable if you can meet with Mr. House at his office and do the video from there. But
Your Honor, what time is that?
1 p.m.
1 p.m., 1 o'clock.
The court didn't take physical control of the exhibit that was State's Exhibit 1. We did try to make a record of it so that if we were in court, I would be returning that to the state, but that's the video that was Stage 1. I tried to designate the area, that being at 12:31, 39 seconds where it starts, and then 12:34 at 44 seconds is where it was concluded for the purposes of the preliminary hearing.
Judge,
Yeah.
the state has provided me with one video, which I provided to my client. I just want to be sure that the court orders all videos, body cams of the incident, either at the courthouse or in the booking room, be provided to me.
They're already on that disc.
All right. Counsel, if there's concerns in regards to if something's been overlooked or whatever, I would suggest that you may want to file a formal discovery request. I would like that to go before Judge Rickey. I think the only thing I have authority to once I bound over a defendant is to, at the request of the district judge, either do the arraignment or make a bond finding. I'm not going to modify the bond. The defendant has appeared as directed today. So I don't think I have the jurisdiction to make any additional orders concerning discovery, but Judge Rickey certainly can do that.
And I appreciate that, Judge. And I want to say also that Ms. Gillette's always been forthcoming with all matters, so I'll discuss that with her. And
I'm sure that's fine. The only thing that was always concerned with as an attorney, both as a prosecutor and a defense counsel, was right now there's so many videos from different angles and different places. I don't know if those are always provided to the county attorney. I don't know if the county has videos outside the courthouse, which I think the first contact with the defendant and with Deputy Bliss may have occurred. So that would be the only thing that I would be, and that may be something both attorneys wish to look into, because frankly, I don't know anymore where all the cameras are as people walk downtown or any place else. It seems to be that there's often new cameras are found from people's doorbells and such. So go from there. But very well. Anything further today?
No,
Very
Gary,
well.
Gary, I burned that disc myself. I know all the cameras are on there because